What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Nick 4K video. Today we are doing a tier list for all the X-Men movies just because Deadpool and Wolverine came out, and that's officially like the end of the Fox era. So we'll be going through all the movies from X-Men 1 all the way to Deadpool and Wolverine. So if you guys enjoy this video and you want to see more like this, make sure to like, subscribe, turn notifications, and if you have any cool ideas for future tier lists you want to see me do, let me know in the comments below, and if I use your suggestion, I'll give you a shout out. Now, right off the bat, as you can see right next to me, I have amazing, I have good, I have okay, I have bad, and I have booty. And of course, I have the have not seen section, which I already have all the stuff on there. That's most of the cartoon stuff. I just haven't watched it. I'm not against it. It's just one of those things where I just haven't watched that yet. With the rest of the stuff, I have. Now, another disclaimer, I have watched Deadpool 1, 2, and 3 recently, but the other ones I have not seen for a while, but I've seen every single one of them within the last 2 years. So they're still kind of fresh, but not super fresh. So I'm going to try to cover what I can, but mostly I'll be going off of my memories of these movies from the first time I saw them to the last time I saw them, and maybe covering some the way my feelings have changed as I watch them, because that just happens in time. You know, you change. Like for me, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3 I thought was really bad when I was younger, but I rewatched it about a year ago and I think it's actually pretty good. So it's one of those things where as time changes, things can get better, or sometimes they can get worse. So let's see. So I tried to mostly put these in chronological order, but I know I'm not like 100% right. I decided to move all the Deadpools to the end because Deadpool and Wolverine that just came out, that's the one everyone's really wanted to see what I'm going to rank it as. So we're going to leave that at the end there. We're just going to start from X-Men, but there is a span point like right around here where I kind of forget when these movies came out. I'm pretty sure Logan came out after X-Men Dark Phoenix, but I don't know. I don't remember, and I don't really feel like looking it up. So just bear with me. All right, starting off with X-Men 1. I'm going to put that in the good category. It's kind of the first modern superhero movie. I mean, you could say that Blade was first, which is true, but Blade was kind of more of like a, hey, this is possible type of thing. X-Men then came and laid the foundation, and then Spider-Man, in my opinion, was really what showed what the greatness of superhero movies. So I was always more of a Spider-Man kid. I liked the X-Men, especially Wolverine. He was always like my second favorite superhero right behind Spider-Man. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's a good movie. It's the X-Men have always been more of an allegory on like social situations going on. It's one of those things where like the X-Men are there, but they're telling a story and they're kind of going based off of like other real life stuff going on. This first X-Men had a lot of people they had to cast, and I think overall they nailed most of them. Obviously, Hugh Jackman, he's a great Wolverine. I know that people were mad because he doesn't particularly look like Wolverine. He's a lot taller than Wolverine, but I think what they were going with the character of Wolverine, it worked really good. Hugh Jackman's obviously awesome. He's like one of those guys. He's just like Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. He's just perfect for the character, almost like the perfect casting type of thing. It's just, that's the way it is. Of course, the castings for Professor X and Magneto, great. So overall, I'm going to say X-Men's going to go in the good category. I don't think you can argue for it being amazing. I think it was a very good, like, standard film that just was able to introduce this universe and the idea of what a superhero team-up movie could potentially be in the future. So yeah, really good. I could see an argument for saying okay, because a lot of these movies kind of surpass this one, but I think for what that is, it's good. I'm going to keep it there. Next, X2. Once again, I'm going to put this one in the good. I know a lot of people really, really love X2, and I'm glad for you guys. For me, there are just other movies on here that I would consider amazing compared to X2, which is still really good and probably the top of the good, potentially in the good. We'll see as we go on forward. If you're new to the channel, the way that I do my tier list compared to a lot of other people is that the further to the left, like the closest to like the words here, that means it's better. So effectively, these two are both in the good category, but X2 is better than X1 type of thing. Yeah, so X2 just kind of built upon the foundations of X-Men 1. It introduced a deeper theme going on in the story. Definitely went deeper into the mutants situation going on. X2 did what X-Men 1 did, and it turned up the stakes. And that's what we needed to do. I think it does a great job. Of course, Wolverine is even better in X2 than he is in X-Men 1. Overall, I actually like the original X-Men trilogy, and with that said, we're going to move into X-Men Last Stand, and this is where I will probably get some pushback, and I completely understand, but I actually like The Last Stand a little bit more than the first X-Men. And this might be because while I think maybe the X-Men is a better overall quality film, The Last Stand is just more exciting, more fun. There's more things going on in The Last Stand, and I just appreciate the story more. That also came out around like 2005, 2006, 2007-ish time, so that was around the time of like Revenge of the Sith dropped. You know what I mean? Around the same time as Spider-Man 3 dropped, type of thing. So I think it was one of those things where it just hit when I was like 12, right? So like perfect movie for a 12-year-old type of thing. So maybe that's just my bias kicking in. But yeah, I think it's a good film. Rewatching it recently, I would probably say it is maybe a weaker film than X-Men. And based on the day, maybe I would even put it up here in front of X2, or I'd put it behind. But I can't say it's okay. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a good, solid trilogy all in all. I'm going to put it there for now. Like I said, tomorrow I can wake up and completely regret it and want to put it down in the okay. But for right now, I like that. So we're going to keep it there. All right, next we have X-Men Origins. This is... I can't put it in booty. It's not completely terrible. Like, for those who are wondering what's the difference between bad and booty, bad is like a movie can still be bad, but there are certain things about it that are redeeming, and then booty means like there's absolutely zero redeeming quality to a film. X-Men Origins is in bad. Overall, it's pretty much a pretty bad movie, but there are some elements of the movie. There are some cool action scenes. CGI is a little rough, but then there's some scenes where the CGI is really good too, so it's like weird how they mess that up. I don't know. The thing about X-Men Origins is it's like silly almost. It's like the most comic book movie out of any of these movies here. So there is that, like, you could say that's pretty good. When you think about taking a comic book and making it into a movie, X-Men Origins is probably the closest to an actual comic book movie. But as far as like making a movie with comic book characters, it's awful. It really is bad. So we're going to put it in bad, but I can't put it in booty. X-Men First Class. This might be another controversial take, but after rewatching these about a year ago or so, I'm going to put it in okay. I think that the original trilogy is better than X-Men First Class. I used to think First Class was really boring when I was younger. Rewatched it now. I think it is better, but I still think it's kind of like just top tier okay. I could see an argument for good, and like I said before, maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and put it in the good, but I think I'm going to put it in the okay category. I just think it's very plain. It's a very plain film, and although it dives really good into like the backstory between Magneto and Professor X, it's one of those things. Oh, and by the way, the cast is great in this too. They did really good casting, especially with those two that I just mentioned. The story itself is it's very safe, especially compared to the original trilogy. And at one time, this was kind of like a prequel. And this is interesting thing about Fox movies is like they were kind of canonical. Like these three are canonical, right? And then this one is like canonical, or was supposed to be, but then it's also not really canonical. And then there's this one, which was supposed to be like a prequel, right? And then it's also kind of not really a prequel anymore. And then it's just interesting how I don't know what Fox was doing with the universe. I just think eventually at some point they just didn't care. They were just making movies to make movies, or to hold on to the titles, or hold on to like the actual IPs or something like that. I don't know for a fact, but that's what it seems like. Overall, First Class is an okay, is a high okay movie. I would understand a good argument. I cannot put it in amazing, and I can't call it bad. It's not a bad film. It's a good film. But while I may call it a good film, I think it's an okay X-Men film, right? And that's what we're doing. We're doing X-Men ranking, so it's going to go in the okay. Next one, the Wolverine. I think people will be sleeping on the Wolverine, and I rewatched this one about like 6 months ago, and guys, this is a lot better than people like to give it credit for. I think it's one of those things where this came out during a time like around Age of Ultron. I think it was Age of Ultron. Might have been more around the time of original Avengers. Whatever the case, it was when the MCU was ramping up and everyone else was kind of, getting shaky. And that was the Fox. Wolverine just kind of got pushed away from that. I think overall this movie is super solid, and I will even defend the ending. I think the ending is still rough, but compared to like at the time when this movie first came out, I thought the same thing. I thought that the ending was weird with the Silver Samurai. But now that we've seen so many different like superhero movies kind of do that already and worse, I actually think the Wolverine's pretty tamed for it. So I'm going to put it up here. I actually think it is better than X2. And like I said, I'll get some hate. Understandable. Can't put it in amazing, but I think it's really good. And like I said, it's probably the best out of the good down here, but maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. Next one. X-Men Apocalypse. I think that this one is actually another okay one. A lot of people really hate this one. Oh wait, hold on. X-Men Apocalypse. Okay, I switched to the X-Men Apocalypse and Days of Future Past accidentally, but that's okay. We'll talk about that one later. Let's just do Apocalypse. So Apocalypse is high okay. I actually like it more than the First Class, but it's still not a good film. Quality wise, First Class is probably the better movie, right? But as far as X-Men movies go, I do think that Apocalypse is just more of a comic book, more fun, more entertaining film than First Class. So it's going to go there, the top of okay. Logan, you know what? I'm going to save Logan for the last, right before Deadpool Wolverine. We'll talk about that one then. Let's do Days of Future Past. So Days of Future Past is definitely the best of the prequel trilogy, and I'm going to probably put it, I think I'm going to put it right behind the Wolverine. It's really good. It's really good, really fun, very interesting. Overall, it is potentially the best X-Men film. You know how you have like the Wolverine standalones and the Deadpool standalone films? Well, there's like the X-Men films that are kind of like their own standalone films as well. I do think Days of Future Past is the best out of them. Better than X2, better than X3. And I'm not surprised because it arguably is based off of one of, if not the most famous X-Men comic book stories. Right, so it makes sense for that to really translate good into a movie if you give it the right director and vision and stuff. Great to see the combination of the new cast and the old cast, and how I mentioned earlier about how like the X-Men were all kind of like part of this like same universe, but also not really part of the same universe. This was kind of the last film where you could actually say, oh, this is part of the same universe, and then after this is where everything kind of changes. So really fun film. It was good when it came out, still really good now. It's going to go in the good section. Next, New Mutants. The truth about the New Mutants is I've seen it one time, and I know I've seen it. I just don't remember anything about it, except for a lot of the actors have like interesting faces, and the one girl has a sword and she fights a big bear. That's what I remember from this movie. I have heard in recent times that it's actually better than it was when it first came out, but it's one of those things where I'm going to put it in. If I don't remember the movie, it was probably bad. So I'm going to put it in. I'm not going to put booty because there were some cool action scenes in it. There were some cool things. It wasn't completely a bad film, but it was a bad movie overall. So we're going to put it in front of X-Men Origins. At least it beat that. You know what I mean? Like I think Origins is overall the worst out of all the films that you're going to see. So at least you beat that. All right, next one, X-Men Dark Phoenix. This was kind of like the last X-Men film we've seen, and of course it was also known and pandered and hated. I think it's one of those things where I don't hate it. I never hated it. When I saw it a couple years ago, I didn't go to see this one in theaters. When I saw it a couple years ago, I thought it was like not as bad as people said. Same thing with Apocalypse. But I do think that as time has gone on, it's still not good. Apocalypse was like, when I saw that one, I remember thinking it was just okay. And then, like, as time went on, it got a little bit better, but it's still okay, but it's still just a little better. Where the Dark Phoenix, I just kind of feel like instead of going from okay, it kind of just feels more bad now. And I think part of that is because at the time of this movie coming out, it was the last X-Men movie. A lot of people knew that. And now it officially is kind of the last X-Men movie, and it kind of went out with a whimper after all of those years of like ups and downs and ups and downs. So it is sad to see that this is the ending of it, and it wasn't even that good. It's going to go in the bottom okay, because even though I would say, I don't know, maybe I will put it in bad. I don't know. Because the truth is, the story's actually pretty okay. Like, the story they were telling, it's pretty okay. And the film is relatively entertaining. It's just like, it's also kind of just lame. Like, it's a lame finale to this entire franchise in a way. So it's like, okay, I'll put it in bad. It's a bad one. We're going to keep it in bad. Because I was thinking about it, and X-Men First Class truly is just like very okay to me. And compared to Dark Phoenix, I do think Dark Phoenix is a lot worse than X-Men First Class. So we're going to put it in bad. All right, now we get to the big ones, the big show, the ones you guys have all been waiting for since the beginning. We have Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, Logan, and Deadpool and Wolverine. So let's do Deadpool. Deadpool 1, it's good. I rewatched it again, like I said, just like 2 months ago to get ready for Deadpool and Wolverine. It's good. I might put it, I'm going to put it a little bit in front of the Wolverine. Very funny, very good. very surprising. I remember this thing dropping in movie theaters and people not really knowing what was going to happen with this, because this was kind of the very first time that superheroes were allowed to go R. I mean, there were other superhero movies in the past, like Blade, that did R, but it's one of those things where this was the first time in a long time after the whole MCU craze. You know what I mean? It was just crazy that like this movie came out and just blew up and people loved it. And yeah, I'm not surprised. Ryan Reynolds, he's meant to play Deadpool. It's great. I'm gonna put it top good. Can't put it in amazing, but definitely top good. Deadpool 2, I'm gonna put that like right behind the Wolverine. I don't think it's as good as Deadpool 1, but like all three of these movies up here are just super solid, almost amazing. Really what it is, it's the same thing as Deadpool 1, but a little bit different and just not as good. And that's the best way I can kind of describe it that way. I will say that Deadpool 1 and 2 kind of feel like a part 1 and part 2 type of story, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, but you know how, like, here's an example, like Rocky 1 and 2. Like, there's Rocky 1 and 2 and Rocky 3, right? But Rocky 1 and 2 kind of work better as a part 1 and part 2 compared to an actual standalone 1, standalone 2, standalone 3. And that's kind of how I break down the Deadpool trilogy in my mind, because it does kind of feel like Ryan Reynolds had a script for Deadpool 2, but he couldn't make it yet, right? So he took a lot of his materials for the second one, made the first one, and then he kind of made it more jokes for the second one. So the second one does fall a little more flat, but overall, they're both relatively similar, and they feel great, and they're good movies, good fun movies. That's what it's about. Next, Logan, guys, we know where Logan's going. It's an amazing. Out of all these films, Logan is the best. It's still the best. It was the best when it came out. Great story, great send off to that, you know, that Wolverine, the character we all grew up with, and yeah. I don't know. I don't really have to say much more about that. I don't have to defend this movie. I think we all kind of agree with that, so we're just going to leave it where it is. Logan's amazing. And now we come to Deadpool and Wolverine. And honestly, guys, this movie's trash. It's going in booty. Aha, I gotcha. Okay, obviously I'm joking. I'm going to put this one up in good. I can't say amazing, but almost there. It's definitely the best of the X-Men films. It's one of those things where this would be considered in the MCU. And by the way, I'm going to do an MCU tier list too, so if you're wondering, that's going to be coming in a couple days here. I'll do all of them except for the TV shows. I might split TV shows and movies up. But yeah, it is the final film in the Fox universe, even though this isn't Fox producing this one. It's pretty good. Good times. Good times were had by all when it comes to these movies. And Deadpool and Wolverine, very fun, very entertaining. The best of the Deadpools, but overall, Deadpool trilogy is just really solid, so it's hard to really pick which ones are, you know, worse or better or whatever. So there you go, guys. That is my tier list for the Fox movies. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy these X-Men movies? Did you not enjoy them? Do you agree with my list? Do you not agree with my list? Which ones do you think I'm completely wrong on? Which ones do you think I'm completely right on? Let me know in the comments below. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you have any cool ideas for future tier lists, let me know in the comments. And of course, if I use your suggestion, I'll give you a shout out in that video. But thanks again for watching, guys. Catch you later. Peace.